I know there are already a million videos on YouTube comparing these two games, but when comparison is done by different individuals, there are more chances that we discover something new. Also, there are a lot of people saying, stop comparing these two games, just play whatever you want. I agree, play whatever you want. But saying stop comparing Genshin Impact to Wuthering Waves is like saying stop comparing Coke to Pepsi, Corn Hub to Alien X videos, methamphetamine to Colombiana cocaina, and my videos to gay porn. They are literally made to compete with each other. And after 4 years of mint picking, chichi pulling, farming absolutely garbage, fucking edging to slimes, Genshin finally has a competitor, a game that can do it better. They might fuck you in the ass like every other gacha game, but hey, at least they'll use something that your father should have used. I don't have anything else to say, so let's just jump into it. I got into Genshin Impact because of my friend, and he got into me because of Genshin Impact. This game was advertised as an open world RPG. Everyone was saying it's a clone of Zelda. It was everything but a clone of Zelda. But one thing for sure was true, that Genshin Impact has one of the best looking map out of all the open world games out there. This was the whole Genshin's map during 1.0, and obviously unlike my Lil Weenie, it has only gotten bigger and better from that point on. While I wanted to say same thing for Wuthering Waves, I personally believe Genshin's map design is way better. Let me make this clear, Wuthering Waves map design is far from being bad, but just like Asian people, it looks more or less the same. It's a joke. If we compare 1.0 to 1.0, it lacked diversity, but with the release of Mount Firmament, it has gotten a lot better. But is it comparable to diverse nations of Genshin? Just the difference between Mondstadt and Leeway's map feels like whole another game. Not only they represent different nations, the design itself represents the element of their Archon. The windmills in Mondstadt City, Windrise Tree, Storm Terror's Lair, Star Snatch Cliff, Dawn's Winery. It all screams that their Archon is gay. I mean, a god of wind. And not only that, you are more likely to find Anemo enemies in Mondstadt than anywhere else. Same thing goes for Liyue. The remains from the Archon War in Juyin Stone Forest and the cliffs of Wagwan Stone Forest and all the big mountains represent how huge and hard Zhongli's pillar is. Everywhere you go is different, every place has a bit of lore and history. Even though my head was consumed by the greed of getting every single Primogem on the map and pulling for my favorite 5-star character, I remember stopping by for a moment and appreciating how good this game landscape is. This is the theme of Genshin Impact, that people from different regions have different attires, nations have different architecture, and during quests, NPCs often mention how they view this god-forsaken land of Teyvat. People from Mondstadt think it's all about poetry, romance, and freedom that wind has. Liyue is known for rocks and cocks. Inazuma is all about eternity and not getting killed by their Archon.
My store is offering the latest in fashion.
Shut the fuck up.
People of Sumeru believes in knowledge, street food, and integrity. And Fontaine is about drama and justice. This is what makes the Genshin's world more believable. Lore-wise, Genshin's open world is immersive. On the other hand, Wuthering Waves doesn't have it yet. There is... Finally, my protein diet is paying off. There is only one region in the game. Yes, even Mount Firmament is a part of Jinzhou. In fact, the people of Jinzhou originated from Mount Firmament. But the game is still new. We will let it age for now and see. Regardless, it has some places that look incredible. The Dim Forest, the Giant Bunyan and the Violet Bunyan, Shade Ridge, Suspended Ruins, the Jinzhou City, and Yinlin's Lab.
No rush. The impatient ones will fall right into our lap.
But it feels pale in comparison. And some things don't even make sense. There is a video on YouTube with the title, Genshin Roads Make No Sense. Trust me, they make a lot more sense in that game. Take a look at this road, for example. Where exactly is this heading? To my father? Even though there are a lot of vehicles and machinery inside the army base or whatever this is, where do these come from? And where will they go? No matter where you follow this road, it always leads to a dead end. And because it's an actual road and not a path, it does feels odd when it just stops existing. But a lot has improved in version 1.1 with the release of Mount Firmament, which is directly competing against Genshin's Dragon Spine, which is the most hated region in the game. so the bar was already low. But they delivered, and they delivered like Lana Roo. Everything that Dragonspine did wrong, they did it right. Dragonspine was like me discovering pussy, except I never did. I watched a guide on YouTube. The whole thing was a puzzle, confusing as fuck. Not to mention the cold mechanic, constantly draining your HP and slowing down exploration. The problem wasn't even that. The problem was this early into the game, the only two available healers were Noelle and Barbara.
With big titties.
And if you made a mistake of not building Noelle, then you are left with only one option. And using Barbara on Dragonspine, it's like trying to cockblock a gay couple, but by getting in between them. Not a good idea. And because there are so many cryo enemies, you will be always affected by cryo. And the thing with Barbara is, she applies hydro every 5 seconds. And every time she does that, it freezes you. And it was so fucking annoying. Wuthering Waves doesn't have any of that. While Mount Firmament doesn't bring anything new to the table, it's still better than bringing shit to the table. The map is a lot better designed than Jinzhou. While it's not another nation, it still has differences, like the housing architecture. I have to give a very minor spoiler here. You can skip 20 seconds if you want to. So because Mount Firmament is frozen in time, the architecture is same but older, and you can clearly see that Jinzhou looks developed version of Mount Firmament, but this doesn't apply everywhere. For example, like in Taoyuan Vale, the housing looks modern but everything else doesn't, but that's probably because they are broke fucking peasants like me. Other obvious difference being people wear warmer clothes, well, most of them. And what the fuck is Xiangling doing here? If they keep releasing map like this, it will surely compete with Genshin. But I still think Genshin's map design is better for the most part. What makes or breaks an open world experience is how you get around it, the quests and the enemies you come across, and the rewards you get. Let's start with the movement. Genshin gives you Wind Glider to glide and legs for sex.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity?
The Wind Glider is the slowest fucking thing ever existed in the history of video gaming. Slower than non-Asian child labors.
That's good.
No, it's not. Get back to the fucking work, you little shit. It's fun until you see the scale of this map. Other than just being slow, it has other problems. For example, when you close the glider, you lose all your momentum. You don't go forward, you just fall straight down. Additionally, if you plunge midair, there is no way to redeploy the glider. It's so fucking annoying when you accidentally plunge midair and you have to go through all of the climbing again, and this happens very often. There is a side quest in Fontaine where you have to climb to the top of these water cubes, and it's so easy to fall that this game feels like the game getting over it. Even if I get over Zhongli while his pillar rises, it will be less painful. This quest got me so angry that I started shaking. The only time I got this angry when I was shaking while trying to watch this one hentai, and it was stuttering, so I opened it on 10 different websites and it was stuttering on every single one of them. There is no worse feeling. Also, you can't change active characters while midair or while jumping, which isn't that big of a deal, but what makes Genshin's exploration much more annoying is the fact that how limited your stamina is, especially in the beginning. And to increase stamina, you have to collect these oculus which are scattered around the map, and a lot of the times they are at the most unreachable places. Sometimes they are just floating on the ground, sometimes they are at the top of the Mount Everest, sometimes at the depth of Mariana Trench, sometimes they are inside my uncle. How am I supposed to reach all these places when every single wall in this game has a ledge that I can't climb? To max out your stamina, you need 65 Animoculus and 131 Geoculus. So you want stamina to explore, and to get stamina, you need to collect Oculus, and to collect Oculus, you need stamina. Infinite loop of insufferability. The beautiful tall mountains I was praising so much became my worst nightmare. Even when you max out your stamina, it isn't enough to fast climb or jump climb, because when you do that, it consumes more stamina, so you are forced to climb slow. This wouldn't have been a problem for me if only there was an option to climb on Lisa, or the other way around. No joke, Lisa single-handedly carried the climbing scene of Genshin Impact. There is also food to boost stamina, but you will use food when you know you are going to explore. And sometimes I find myself exploring between quests or anytime. I mean, all I'm saying is you can't have food all the time, you fat fuck. The Genshin devs realized that climbing is not fun, so they added characters that have better movement. Which is worse because now you have another reason to pull for more characters and spend money on the game. But later on, as they added more regions, they added more mechanics like boats, grappling points, and other things that are limited to newer regions. This made traversing around the map a lot less annoying. I am blessed to have Wanderer on my account because without him I won't be able to explore this much. But without him I would have been a sane person because every time I charge attack on him, he goes like, my thing rises. Inside the incest. Like, shut the fuck up, you adopted as bitch. On the other hand, Wuthering Waves feels like it is developed by someone who got frustrated by all these problems and decided to make their own game. Most of the problems I talked about earlier, shut the fuck up, bird. Most of the problems I talked about earlier doesn't exist in this game. Except the glider, it's still slow as fuck. You still have a little bit of momentum when you close the glider. You have a permanent grappler that can be used anytime. Although I wish the 12-second cooldown was a little shorter. You can dash midair. You can backflip, you can change character while jumping or while midair, and if you accidentally plunge, you can stop just by using grappler. And my favorite, running on the walls. Even ledges can't stop you in this game, even the big ones. Combining all these, you can do more advanced flying fuckery that every Apex player does.
What the f?
Did I mention there is a fucking bike in this game? You can use it only for a few seconds, but a bike is a bike. Sure, people crash and they hit their head and the brain gets splattered like a fucking strawberry milkshake. This game really did a great job of making Genshin feel like ass, and not good kinda ass, the Ito kinda ass. Because when people go back to play Genshin after playing this game, they try to do all the maneuvers that this game has, and it's more sad than it's funny.
Yeah, there's no grapple, there's no double jump, there's no running up walls, there's a fourth character. Oh my god, I'm trying to shift in the air to do a double dash, dude, it doesn't work.
It's like discovering real woman when you have spent your entire lifetime watching hentai. Huh? Why isn't she enjoying this? Even though she is begging me to stop just like in anime. While wall running is fun, somehow they convinced me to climb. You see, one day I was just exploring and collecting these chests, and while climbing I forgot to press shift, so my character started climbing instead of running. But suddenly my PC lagged and there was a black screen for a few minutes. I was confused, but as I moved my mouse, the sky started to reveal itself, and I was like, damn, they added solar eclipse in this game? But turns out it was just Tauchi being big. Jokes aside, this actually happens. It's a bug that sometimes the camera will point straight to the sky for no apparent reason. Even in the recent patch 1.1. Did I mention you have unlimited stamina while you are running? As long as you are not in a fight, you can run indefinitely. Dashing and climbing still consumes stamina, but there aren't as many high places right now in the game where you might find it difficult to reach, and in the ones that are high, there are always grappling points to hook onto. And you can use these even when the grappler is on cooldown. But the best thing about this game is the fucking boba physics. Holy! The best thing about this game is that to increase stamina, you don't have to collect these Oculus. These still exist in the game. They are called Sonar Cascade. And collecting these gives you asteroids, which is the main currency of this game, upgrade materials, and Eidolon for your Spectro MC. If you aren't familiar with these gacha games, when you get a copy of a character, that is converted into something called Constellation, or in this case Eidolons, that increase overall strength of that character. So if you don't use Spectro main character, you don't have to collect all of these. And if you are collecting all of these, there are extra 8 or 10 on the map. Yes, I have collected all of these. Yes, I am unemployed. Yes, my cock has a tattoo that says COC. Not that I'm a big fan of Clash of Clans. I wanted it to be COCK, but it didn't fit. Since the movement in this game is infinitely better than Genshin, collecting these is less painful. Still a very boring thing to do. So how do you increase stamina in this game? It's by leveling up your data bank. Think of it as a Pokédex, and there are a lot of tacit discords on the map. Think of them as Pokémons. When you defeat these, there is a chance that it'll drop an echo. More about echoes later. When you collect these, you level up your data bank, and leveling up data bank not only increases your stamina, but also increases chances of enemy dropping an echo, as well as increases chances of dropping a higher rarity echo. And this is way better than f***ing Climb Simulator. There is a reason why in every game you level up by defeating enemies, because it's fun and it works every time. But what's also fun and works every time is going to buy milk after you get someone pregnant. These few little things make exploring a woman, the game, an experience of all time. But it's not perfect. I have a question. Are there any respectful special subreddits? The real question is, why can't these gacha games add a goddamn wingsuit or a paraglider? I'm not asking for actual wingsuit, that would look weird. All they have to do is attach the wings on their back and just add the physics, right? Easy, right? Even if they add one, I doubt Tauchi will be able to fly. Games from 2010 have wingsuits and paragliders. Why can't we have them in gacha games? Now you might be saying that,
oh, you are comparing gacha games to single player titles.
if you, the player base, set these standards that gacha game can't have fun things, then these things will never be implemented in the game. They literally have a bike in the game. A step in a right direction. Imagine gliding through the rainforest in Sumeru and the shade rich to Jinjo City. Man, what a waste of potential. And also, how the fuck did I forget to mention the teleporters? I guess because everyone knows about them. There are Statue of 7 in Genshin, equivalent to Resonance Nexus of Wuthering Waves. You can teleport to them and these pillars heal you, very convenient for early game. And there are waypoints in Genshin and Resonance Beacon in Wuthering Waves, which lets you teleport to them. They are perfectly placed where they should be. They might have forget to place one near the Primo Geovishap, but you can always place temporary teleporter anywhere on the map, which is available in both the games. Other than that, there is not much to complain about. One noticeable difference is that Genshin teleporters looks like upside down butt plug. And yeah, you probably don't want to mess with that. Specifically the Resonance Nexus. Both games have some utilities or gadgets. Since 1.0, gadgets in Genshin have been multiplying like Indians. There are so many, it's overwhelming. Some help you explore better, some are musical instruments. I remember a guy coming to my wall and he played me some popular Japanese melodies before he stole all of my crystal flies. The only one I could recognize was Doraemon theme. He reminded me how talentless I am, so I kicked his melodic ass out of my world.
Shut the fuck up.
Some of these gadgets are event exclusive and they did not add anything or serve any purpose anyway, so it's a good thing that these were limited. Some of these are just pets. They just float around and make weird noises, as if this poopy filled diaper looking thing wasn't enough. Isn't Paimon an Egyptian demon? The gadgets that are actually useful can only be obtained by increasing reputation, and to increase reputation you have to explore areas, do quests, fight enemies, then you can get recipe, then you have to collect all the materials for the recipe, then you can finally craft it. Some of them even require boss materials. Why? These are the ones I found useful. The red feather fan, which increases gliding speed by 30% for 30 seconds but has 100-second cooldown. Portable waypoints. These lets you put a temporary teleporter anywhere on the map. Oculus stones lets you find Oculus, but you have to craft these and these are consumable. Parametric transformer, which sounds like something that can transform gay people into straight, but only your ugly ass can do that. It lets you convert all the trash you pick up into upgrade materials, but it has a cooldown so long that by the time it resets, the miner that Dr. Disrespect has been disrespecting will actually be of legal age. Also, there is a food pouch that lets you use food anytime, and the treasure compass which shows you the general direction of nearest chest, but has 30-second cooldown and is very hard to see. On the other hand, Wuthering Waves has cut all the bullshit and given you 10 utilities, a grappling hook already mentioned, sensor which highlights collectibles, and sometimes it is needed to solve puzzles. Genshin also has it, but it's an ability, not a gadget in that game. A camera, a projector that projects echoes, not that useful but can be used to block attacks. It could be a bug though. A levitator which is needed to solve puzzles. This had a lot of potential, but you can't pick random objects like in the game portal. If only I could use this to lift Tauchi's gargantuous sword. She actually needs this, bro. She runs out of breath every time you dash.
Let's take it slow.
I fucking love this character. There is also Cascade Sonar which lets you find Sonar Cascade. Very creative name right there. There is a zoom camera, temporary teleporter, ultrasonic pulse chip, which sounds like something that Elon Musk would put inside that guy who broke the Tesla. But all it does is lets you wipe the poop off the ground. You can say it's the only shitty gadget. And a loot mapper, which is equivalent to treasure compass of Genshin. But instead of just showing you the direction of the nearest chest, it just shows you where the chests are in the map. It has pretty large radius. You can place 3 circles and has 0 cooldown. They don't give a fuck. As if they are saying, get a job, you broke bastard. Take your 5 fucking asteroid and shove it up your ass. And I respect that.
Who wants some of this? Let's roll!
So far we have talked about the open world, how you get around it, and things that help you get around it. Now let's talk about what you actually find in the open world of these games. For a new player, Genshin's world is like getting out of a womb with no one to pick you up. It can get extremely overwhelming because it's been out. I swear to God, I will kill every single bird in this goddamn planet. Because it's been out for 4 years and there is so much to explore. But the only overwhelming thing about Wuthering Waves is Tauchi's massive defense scaling. Damn. Most of the open world content is similar in both the games. There are enemies everywhere. You have different time-gated challenges, various puzzles, domains, bosses, and chests. First, let's talk about enemies. Enemies in Genshin have more variety than the entirety of Hentai Heaven. Elemental life forms, Hilichurls, the Abyss family, the Fatui, the Automatons, the humans, the mystical beasts, what the fuck, and the bosses. These are divided by lore rather than what they actually do. If I have to categorize them, it'll be like this. Elemental enemies, they are either immune or have damage reduction against their respective element. Shielders, they are pussies. They create shields of their own element that requires other element to break. They also have high resistance against their own element. Some of them have damage reduction until their shield is broken, and some of them gets their shield as a second phase. And some of them are completely invulnerable until their shield is broken. Yeah, there are a lot of shielded enemies in this game. Children of Tivat, they are dumb, they have low HP, they hurt themselves, very satisfying to beat the shit out of. Adults, they have more HP and that's it. Flying fucks. If you don't kill them fast enough, they'll fly out of your reach or they'll become an average dad. And when they are in this phase of average dad, they have very high damage reduction. Bow user is required to knock the flying enemy, and a dendro reaction is required to make your dad appear again. I'm joking, he's never coming back. Harem or haram. Smash. Harem for me. I'll let them kill me. Bosses, we'll talk about them in the combat section. Honorable mention, some enemies have insane amount of HP. They aren't even bosses. I'm assuming they were added to the game so that people who have spent thousands of dollars can use their character for more than 10 seconds. In Genshin, fighting against enemies is like playing a card game. They throw a card, you throw it back. The card. Some enemies have mechanics that requires you to do a specific thing or apply a specific element. After I wipe out the entirety of birds, I'm going for next in game, in Genshin Impact. This applies more in Abyss, which is the end game. The reason why people build their characters. In Overworld, you can get away with pretty much anything legal, because in Overworld, enemies are a lot weaker. Also, a lot of the enemies are just protecting themselves rather than actually fighting you. Other than Hilichurls and the human enemies like Nobushi, they used to call me that in school. Every enemy in this game is doing their own shit, hoping it hits you. And what's with the bosses? Why are they throwing puzzles at you mid-fight? It's like getting interrupted by an ad while watching hentai, but to make it worse, the ad has a real woman, so you almost throw up. Enemies in Wuthering Waves are a lot simpler, which isn't a bad thing. Lore-wise, there are only 3 types of enemies: humans, tacit discords, and monkey, Huchif. I don't know why this website have a separate section for monkeys, even though they are also tacit discords. I guess they deserve separation. They always have. Anyway, I'll categorize them as small fries with low HP, big fries with mid HP, and Queso who ate all the fries with a fuck ton of HP. We will talk about quesos in combat section. Fighting enemies in this game is a lot like an actual fight and not a card game, and also a lot more challenging than Genshin. To my knowledge, there aren't any mechanics where you need to do a specific ritual to stop enemies from doing weird shit as of 1.1, but I'm also certain that they will add something like this at some point. They don't have any overly complicated mechanics. That said, they have a few mechanics, like enemies having higher resistance against the same element type character or an echo, and they have a poise bar. I don't know what is it called, but when you deplete it simply by attacking or using intro skills, they get knocked down for a few seconds. The duration depends on the enemy. Other than that, it all depends on your dodging and parrying skills, which we'll talk about in the combat section. All in all, Genshin has more variety of enemies, but they can be annoying because you need to solve puzzles mid-fight. You need to use different characters to fight different enemies, and sometimes they are like my mother, just protecting herself while my father beat the shit. On the other hand, Wuthering waves kept it simple. Enemies actually fight you. They don't have any signs of ADHD or autism. Never mind, in version 1.1 they added this thing which does its own thing, hoping it hits you. I love solving puzzles. On God, I have never heard that phrase in my entire life. Whether you love it or hate it, puzzles are a big part of exploration in both games. One could argue that Genshin has more puzzles than it has heterosexual players. Hell, there are more puzzles than combat in this game. No offense, but I think you have to be gay to like puzzles. People think the smarter you are, the less time it takes to solve puzzles. That's not true. Yes, it will take more time for a dumb person to solve puzzles, but a smart person would completely avoid solving puzzles because it's not worth your time. But only a gay person would. In Genshin, puzzles in earlier regions like Mondstadt and Liyue were mostly straightforward. Pun intended. You light up the torches, you get the chest. You kill slimes, you get the chest. You apply element, you get the chest. You follow Seelie, you get the chest. Seelies are also gay, they can't even fly straight. But after version 2.0 Inuzuma's release, puzzles have become pain in the ass. Again, pun intended. The problem isn't that they are overly complicated. It isn't that I have to learn new mechanics. The problem is that I'm not Drake. I don't like doing too much for too little. Little ones. The amount of effort I put in isn't worth 2 primo gems or 5 primo gems and a furniture. I respect the creativity they put in designing these, but as Ziox once said, no matter how creative a dildo is, if it ain't hitting the spot, it isn't worth it. You know that you are doing something wrong when the biggest gay streamer of Genshin Impact is fucking annoyed by the rewards you give.
Exquisite! Exquisite? You are I'm not picking that. That you are joking. You're joking. Exquisite chest? I spent an hour of my life for an exquisite chest?
Let's talk about puzzles and Wuthering waves. Puzzles in this game are a lot simpler, while not being too easy. Even though they aren't completely original or redesigned like in Genshin Impact, they are fucking amazing. You probably are familiar with some of these puzzles. For example, this one from Among Us, where you have to connect wires. And this one where you have to put the thing in the right hole. I used to play this with my uncle when I was little. You don't even need to read description. I mean, who reads these anyway? Just by looking at them, you know how to solve these, even in 1.1. But as we go forward, puzzles will become more like Genshin as they run out of puzzles to copy paste. Eventually, they'll have to come up with the new ideas, which I think they already have, like this pillar one. I hope at least they don't add these stupid ass furniture chests as rewards. Also, Seelies are called butterfly in this game. They are not completely gay but like bisexuals. Sometimes they walk straight, sometimes they don't, but at least they are athletic, making them faster. I apologize if this section offended you. If it did, you are probably gay. Since we are talking about puzzles, let's talk about chests. There are 5 types of chests in Genshin Impact: muscular, huge, big, flat, and illegal. Common, exquisite, precious, luxurious, and remarkable. Common chest gives you low tier resources plus 2 primo gems, which is equivalent to 1/80th of a wish, which is equivalent to what my great grandpa used to make working on indigo fields during British rule. I guess I am an e-slave. Sounds more like a fetish than a problem. Exquisite chest gives you low to mid tier resources plus 5 primo gems. Precious chest gives you mid to high tier resources plus 10 primo gems. Luxurious chest gives you high tier resources plus 10 to 40 primo gems depending on where you get it. Luxurious chests from shrines always give you 40 primo gems. And lastly, Remarkable Chest gives you 5 Primogems plus a furniture for your fucking teapot. Brother, the only thing remarkable about this chest is how a guy who was dropped as a kid, suffered a major concussion, managed to get a job at Hoyoverse, and not only designed the chest but also got approval for it to be included in the game. Truly a remarkable chest of all time. The new game mode wants us to build 6 characters to at least level 70 from each element. That means 42 characters. You get 8 trial characters each season. Let's say you don't have 4 of them. I wasn't this lucky. So 14 characters each season. And you get 1 from friends. So let's say 13 per season. So 4.3 characters from every element. That means 30 characters on average. I think I'm a dumb fuck, not a math guy, but all I can say that they want you to build a lot of characters, and every reward in the game is becoming fucking furniture. I can't even shove it to my ass. I'm not against building 30 characters, but come on, we went from you need 8 characters to beat the game to you need 30 characters of level 70. On top of that, they didn't even increase the amount of resin we get. This isn't a problem for players who have been playing this game for 4 years, but I'm not one of them. Okay, I'll stop ranting now. Another thing I want to add, once you get all these chests from a region and get that sweet 100% exploration, there is no reason to ever go back aside from enemy drops and flowers. So there are so many good looking places that you will never visit again. Chests in Wuthering Waves are bigger, better and softer, but the supply chests are no different other than the minimum currency you get is 5 and not 2. So it's a slight upgrade, like my great grandpa getting promoted to cotton field from Indigo. There are 5 types of supply chests in Wuthering Waves. Scattered supply chest gives you currency and no asteroids. Genshin also has these, but those aren't considered as chests, but these ones do for some reason, because when you open these, it triggers the chest voice lines from characters. Next, basic supply chest giving you 5 asteroids and low tier materials. Standard supply chest gives you 10 asteroids and mid tier upgrade materials. Advanced supply chest gives you 20 asteroids and high tier upgrade materials. Premium supply chest gives you 40 asteroids and high tier upgrade materials. Other than basic and standard chests giving you more asteroids, there isn't any difference. They also have tidal heritage, basically a cock and a rooster. Same thing, different destinations. They give you echo upgrade material instead of character or weapon. There are 3 types of these: golden, purple and blue. Golden gives you 10 asteroids and premium tuners for 5-star echoes. Purple and blue gives you 5 asteroids. Purples can have premium or epic tuners, while blue is not Mr. White's formula. It can have rare or epic tuners for lower tier echoes. They are like women rights. Yes, they are there, but just unnecessary. These are there to give you illusion that they have more than just chests, but in reality they really are the same thing. Also, chests are more crowded in this game right now as they were in older parts of Genshin's map, but as more regions were added they got more disparate and harder to obtain. I wonder if it will be same for this game, but so far they have been pretty consistent. And same thing in this game, you don't have a lot of reasons to go back once you got that 100% exploration. You can still go back to farm echoes, but as they add more regions, the newer echoes will be added and they will be generally better. Another good thing about Wuthering Waves is that you don't have to spam F to pick items because they are directly added to your inventory. You don't have to worry about loot getting respawned or lost, and this applies to all the collectibles in the map. This also reduces lag as there are less entities on the map. But let's save the downright dog shit, absolutely atrocious garbage performance of this game for later. Getting loot directly added to your inventory is amazing. Or is it? Because I don't even care what am I getting anymore. I think it's fine for these games, but they have killed the chess for me. It's like discovering BDSM category. Porn never hits the same after that. In every game, chests are so meaningful. In a game like Terraria, it can completely change progression, as you can get variety of gear that can help you defeat the next boss. And some of the chests are mimics. They attack you, and when you kill them, you get rare loot that normal chests just don't have. In Witcher, you get swords and armor with different abilities. In Elden Ring, you get weapons and talismans. Even though the stats they give are minimal, but making a build around those stats will get you through so many bosses. That makes them so valuable. And in these games, what do you get? Upgrade materials over and over and over again. And if I unlock hundreds of them, maybe I'll be able to upgrade my character from level 80 to 81. Maybe. But why bother? Because I can get twice the amount of resources just by using my daily energy. There is a reason why successful streamers don't explore areas, because they know they can get resources by spending money or from the battle pass or from the extra resin they get from it. I remember getting a red sword from one of these chests. It looked so unique, but soon after my excitement faded away when I found out that it was outshined by every other gacha weapon in the game. This problem can easily be solved by adding 3-star gacha weapons in the chests, as some of them are actually useful. I know there is already the black tassel you can get in leeway chests, but that's 1 out of 1 billion weapons that this game has. Or they can even add 4-star weapons that you get by fucking fishing for weeks, and add a pity system that every 100 chests you get a refinement or something. What's the difference between collecting Oculus and opening chests when both of them gives you few pulls on the banner? Never have I ever in any game seen a chest that is filled with emptiness. Damn, that's deep. Deep shit with Indian philosopher. Since I mentioned fishing, let's talk about it. Genshin has it, Wuthering Waves doesn't yet, and I hope it stays this way, because holy fuck, it is ass. If you are a free-to-play player, you kinda have to do it, because one of the best weapon for one of the best unit is locked behind this shit pile. Fish takes days to respawn, and you have to fish for weeks to max the weapon out. And if you don't want to wait, you have to join other people's world and beg them to let you fish. And still, it will take you hours. I would rather go back to the womb I came out of and curl up and suck on my toe, because this shit is horrible than any nightmare I have had. And my nightmares are about having a real, normal female interaction.
My name's Trevor. What's yours?
Yeah, fishing is this horrible. Let's talk about challenges. In Genshin Impact, throughout the map you will find these elevated places where you can watch the scenery before you jump off and end your life, because these challenges are a joke. There are 3 types of trial challenges: parkour, combat, and aim labs. Maybe you just downloaded the game and you don't have enough characters to even do a single elemental reaction, then you might call this a challenge. Even then, you can just ignore the combat ones and do the aim labs for Taj Mahal workers and parkour for Stephen Hawking. I don't even understand why there is a time limit. I know they have to consider every player, and a big part of their player base is from mobile. But being a mobile player doesn't mean they are missing fucking cerebellum. They can still move their fingers, right? I used to play shit ton of mobile games, not just any games, competitive games. I used to use 3 fingers technique, 4 fingers, toes, tongue. Use everything until it fucking shouts. The combat ones are fine. It's not really a challenge, but weaker enemies are still satisfying to kill. The aim lab ones are pretty mediocre because of how aiming works in this game, and also because the game is locked at 60 FPS and it has some kind of permanent motion blur. The parkour ones are absolutely trash, since the game has about as much movement as Hu Tao's chest. Not to mention characters like Kazuha and Wanderer completely breaks them. Moving on to Wuthering Waves, the combat ones and the aiming ones are no different from Genshin, but the parkour ones are on another level. Since the game has a lot of movement mechanics, it is a lot more enjoyable, and also some of them have reasonable time limit. Sadly, my favorite parkour challenge wasn't actually a challenge, it was a quest line. The guy gives you a few challenges, like get to the top of this tower without running on walls, do 10 backflips in 15 seconds, get to the location without touching grass. I mean, say no more. And it is actually possible to fail in one of these. But in Genshin, the only time I failed in parkour was when I was looking at Yelan's armpit and I came so hard that it got into my eyes, resulting in blindness 5D. But there is more in Wuthering Waves. This one where they turn into a fat fish. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this one because they gave you so much movement and then they turned you into a bob blobfish. What I like, however, is sometimes you have to flop from puddle to puddle, and it's hilarious because it feels like the fish is suffering from death. And after the fishing experience in Genshin Impact, I can't help but enjoy it. There is also this one where they turn you into a fucking mosquito. Initially, I was struggling with this one because it's so fast and so sensitive. But once I discovered that you can just press S to slow it down, it gave me enough control to easily beat these. Once you get the hang of it, zooming out of these holes is so satisfying, as if you were Lana Rhoades' baby zooming out of it. But as a great man once said, you can't have all the fun things in the world. And because of that, they nerfed the speed of Mosquito for mobile players because they were struggling to press one button. Or maybe it was hard on mobile mobile, I don't know. Also, there was this quest where you could ride bike for a long time. I wish there was more of that. Additionally, you can skate down from the top of Mount Firmament, but that is also not a challenge and it is only exclusive to that specific area. Why do they do this? Again, what a waste of potential. That's all about challenges, and in this department, Wuthering Waves does it so much better. It's not even a competition, especially parkour.
Who made this shit, man? I should be the only motherfucker getting praised.
There isn't much to talk about collectibles. I mean there is, but it's not worth it because they aren't any different in both games. Just copy paste. I have already talked about Oculus and Sonar Cascade. There are more in every region, and collecting these gives you premium currency, constellation or wave band. There are bells in Wuthering Waves in Mount Firmament. There are also a lot of flowers, ores and insects that you will need to collect to upgrade your favorite character. It's boring as fuck, and they keep adding new ones so you can't pre-farm them, and it's unique for every character, well almost. Some of these are also used for cooking, for various buffs. Some of the ores are needed to craft weapons, upgrade materials, gadgets. There is meat to put in your favorite character's mouth. Eat it, Albedo. Good boy. You like that, don't you?
The fucking odd.
Yeah, good. Good. You will be useful again someday. Eat more. Good. Good.
Seems
Enemy drops are also needed for character upgrade. There are books to collect, which does nothing. It might give you an achievement. In Wuthering Waves, there is this bobfly. I don't know if it's a collectible or a puzzle, but it gives you 10 asteroids. It's all boring stuff. Just talking about it is putting me to sleep. They are same in both the games anyway. And this is all there is to these games in terms of exploration, more or less. We'll talk about domains when we talk about daily energy. If you ask my opinion, Wuthering Waves does a lot better in terms of getting around on the map, and overall exploration is more enjoyable. They did Mount Firmament way better than Dragon Spine. Genshin does better in terms of visuals, and the map works a lot better with the lore of the game. This is taking way too long than I originally thought, so I'll have to make another video because this is where I am at and this is what I have to cover. And I am also hardware limited. The timeline is lagging. My hard drive is almost full of furry porn. If this video gets any recognition, I will make another part, but otherwise I'll move to other games. Thanks and goodbye.